All right, YouTube. So today's video, we're actually talking about a very interesting topic, and that is photography feels too perfect right now. The moment is now. Right now, photography just feels too perfect. And I am going to try to illustrate a point for you that I've made on many of my previous videos around shooting film, shooting DSLRs, and now mirrorless cameras. Each medium has obviously technologically advanced very rapidly. DSLR, well, in my experience, was majority of the span of my lifetime. Film played a good part in the early days. Never left it, but slowed down some compared to what I do with DSLRs and mirrorless cameras today. So with that, let's get right into this video. If you're here for this video, stay. If you don't know who I am Amar Tech Talk. And over here, we talk about common sense things so you don't end up breaking your bank and go broke chasing every new thing that's actually out there. If you want to do that, you can. Wouldn't recommend it. So we're going to actually cover a few things here, right? There's a lot of things that are actually happening out in the industry. So with that, let me just take you down the progression and path, and then we'll talk about a few topics, if I can make any sense there. This is film, right? Film camera. It's about 73 years old. Still shoots today, right? And works perfectly fine. And this one's actually in mint condition. So you have that. Then from there, we went into this guy. This is the 1D Classic. This is CCD. This is not a CMOS sensor. It's CCD. It's 4 megapixels. It's CCD. Are the CMOS sensors better, faster? Sure. But the colors on CCD sensors, they're unmatched. Unmatched. That's why these, well, sorry, I guess it was on. These cameras are still so highly regarded. Even though it's 4 megapixels, when you take a shot from it and it's properly exposed and you did your thing right, you can have some pretty incredible looking shots out of this. So from here, we graduated to the pinnacle, right, of the 1D series. It started here, went into, after this, everything else was CMOS from a sensor technology perspective. And then this was the ultimate of the CMOS, which was the 1DX Mark III, right? So the beginning and the end for Canon for DSLRs. Here it is on the 1D, right? Incredible speed, incredible, pretty much everything in there. But this camera did one thing that kind of left some tea leaves along the way, right? And what I mean by that is when we went into this, which this is an R5 Mark II, but when we went into the original R5 and the EOS R and those kind of things, there were some tea leaves left here on the 1DX3, which is when you put it into live view mode, it pretty much behaves like a mirrorless camera. So the transition to mirrorless would have been easy. Was Canon successful in that? Yeah, maybe for the guys that had this kind of money to be able to buy this, guys and gals. But for a lot of people, they still struggle even today because the EF lenses were so good, especially if you have a lot of EF-L lenses. The quality of the lenses is, outstanding. You don't really need RF lenses, but if you really want them, you can. Yes, some things they do better, but there's nothing wrong with the EF lenses. We already had this discussion 1,000 times, so no point revisiting that conversation. So what is it that I would like to really get into with this one? The big thing today is the nostalgia, right? What I'm seeing is everyone is chasing the nostalgia. Give me my DSLR back. I mean, like, if you look at, my previous videos, you'll see the comments. If Nikon would make their last DSLR, this is what I would want it to be. If Canon were to do the same thing, if they were to make just one more, like a 5D Mark V, this is what I would like. They're not going to. We killed it. They didn't do it. We made them do it, right? Because of these things. So why worry about the nostalgia of getting another brand new DSLR? If you really want one, the only company that I know of that's doing that today would be Pentax, and that's about it. So, you pick your poison there. If you're happy with Pentax, go for it. Some of you get incredible results with Pentax. Some of you will never buy one because it's way too slow, can't do this, that, all kinds of issues. The other thing that I see a lot of with, this huge nostalgia, and I used to be the same way sometime back, and my dog's just losing his mind. The anti-AI sentiment. What I mean by that is, do I agree that everything AI is good? No, I don't. But do I also understand that AI is the future? Yes, I do. So you got to have that balancing act, right? In your photography, if you think that you're not going to be able to get AI into sort of what you do today and in the near future, you're kidding yourself, right? Because it's here to stay. It's real, right? All of the new camera models are coming with AI chips in them. What are you going to do? Take the chip out? You can't, right? It's in there. You want it? It's in there. The only way for you to do that is go buy one of these older ones, and you can become a purist. Nothing wrong with being a purist, but purist also, if you're running a business, it's not going to pay your bills. I'll tell you that. If you want to shoot a wedding like you shot weddings 30 years ago, and with the way social media is today, you're probably not going to book a lot of jobs in the future because everything is about content creation. And if that is something that you're knocking and are not having as a product offering in what you offer from services perspective for your business, you're probably not going to make it, regardless of whether you shoot it with a DSLR, mirrorless, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So the emotional piece, let's talk about that. Why is it so perfect? Today, there is no emotional attachment to your cameras because it's a computer, right? It's totally a computer. There is no real tactile response that you're getting back that you can react to, feel something, think about something. It's already thought about it before you can even think. So pretty incredible, right? Now, when you have something of this caliber that's much older, right, and it can still do that today, when you shoot, you can feel it, that you got it, just by the sound of that shutter. You just know, hey man, nailed it. A lot of people think that that's like just made up. It's not. Because once you understand the machine that you're working with, because you and the machine are working in sync to produce a beautiful image. Over here, the machine is doing all the work. All you're doing is holding it down. Don't even tell me that you're saying, oh, I told it where to focus. Stop. It already knows where to focus. What are you going to tell it? It already knows. It's way, way more advanced than what you can be, right? But in this situation, you do have to kind of tell it where it is and then make the decisions together as a machine and a human, right? This is something that this experience, this human experience, right, is one that creates emotion. That's something AI will never be able to do, no matter how good it gets. AI cannot generate emotion. Mark my words, it will never happen. You need that human in the loop to make it happen. So when you have these kind of things happening and this disjointed experience breaks here, And then we go to this, which had some of this in there and some of the old in there. This is really the true hybrid. These are not hybrids. These hybrids are like, oh, video and this and that and the other. Okay, fine. I get that. I mean, if you want to call it hybrid from that perspective, but from a user perspective, usability perspective, it's not the same. You're looking at a computer screen. The entire thing is a computer. There is no, like, I mean, the buttons are nice, but when you feel these buttons, I mean, it's a different world, right? So they're not built the same way anymore. That we all kind of agree with. So with that, the other nostalgia is Canon EF lenses. 250 million of them out there. Go pick your whatever one you want. Buy one. Incredible glass. Optically, they were actually built right. You don't need all this mumbo jumbo corrections inside the cameras to fix these things that you see a lot on the RF lenses, the cheaper ones, but some of the more expensive ones, they're pretty incredible. I mean, they've been able to do some amazing things on the RF side, for sure. You know, that wouldn't be possible on a DSLR with the flange distance. And the last one is film simulation, right? The nostalgia of film, right? I want to be able to shoot that on digital. Even my Nikon ZF got an update with the film grain and this and the other. In addition to that, my thing is really, if you're going to shoot with a lot of film simulations, why don't you just shoot film, right? Might as well just shoot the real thing while you can. It's still available. You still can do it. Might not be the cheapest, but it's available. But if you like the simulation thing, go for it, right? That's where we're headed. The big thing here is all of this, what we just talked about right now, and this body that you can buy for $3,800, which is the Canon R5 Mark II, it has made photography way too perfect, right? I'll leave you guys with this so the video doesn't drag. The 1D Classic, right, was so imperfect, but it was perfectly made to last decades. This camera is almost 3 decades old in my hand, and you already heard what that shutter sounds like because it's been maintained. It goes to Canon, it gets serviced, and all kinds of things. The 1DX Mark III, it's built the same way. It's the last of its kind. This camera is going to be highly sought out even 20 years from now, and it will fetch good money. I can bet you this R5 Mark II in another 3 years ain't going to be worth a damn. No one cares. Because it's not built the same way. It's not built for that same audience. Even the R1, it's a great camera, and you guys have seen it. I'll put it up against this, and it's not the same. It is an incredible, incredible machine, but it is not a 1DX Mark III. It is not, and it never will be, right? So when we go from something like this that is built like a masterpiece and that can last 70 years, right? I question, do you want it to be just way too perfect? Or do you want it to be perfectly imperfect? So you, the human, can be in total control. Does that mean that you can't be in control shooting with this? You can. You can. But 90% of the people today shoot in manual mode with auto ISO. You're not in control. You're kidding yourself. Anything auto in there, you are no longer in control of that exposure, period. It's over. I mean, go get yourself a light meter and shoot, and you'll be shocked at the kind of results you get. But people aren't going to do that. The light meter inside my camera is already good enough. Good enough? Are we going for good enough, or are we really going for something that you're going to create that's going to last a lifetime? That's something that you have to answer. So I'm not knocking the R5 Mark II. I have it. I use it. It's an incredible tool. Incredible tool. But I have certain principles and discipline. I do pull out my data color meter. I do pull out my light meter quite often. And the light meter, the incident light meter, the separate one that you guys have seen, the L358 from Sekonic, I've had it for over 20 years. Been shooting that thing. No issues, right? Is much more accurate than what's in here. And this is a new camera. It is. I mean, Sony can put in, oh, wow, I'll put an extra chip in there. Let me tell you something. What Sony's trying to do today, here's an extra sensor in here, in the original 1D and the 1DS, which was there to get the best white balance that you could get at that time. That whole concept of having a separate chip do that, it's not on the sensor. Its job is only white balance. It was already thought about 30 years ago. It's nothing new on the A7R6. It's nothing groundbreaking. They already had that. And so did the Sony A99 too, a while back. So, with that, leave your comments below. Like, subscribe, be nice to each other. And let me know if photography is too perfect for you. Or do you just want it to be imperfect so you can perfectly produce what you want out of photography rather than what the brands want you to produce, which is rely on their algorithms to make every decision for you. Just imagine if your car had an algorithm to truly determine where it goes, what it does. Would you sit in it? Most likely not. Because you want to be in control. You want to tell it exactly where to go. You want to control it all the time. Hey, man, you stop when I tell you to stop. But we don't do that with photography. We let the camera just do it all. And then we go around boasting, look at the awesome shots I took. Yeah, your camera took the shots. You didn't do it. Because you can't even explain any of the exposures that you just did. Why? Because you were not part of the process. So that's what I mean. When it becomes too perfect, you are no longer in a creative process. The creative process is a process of making mistakes to get better and create something that you never thought you could create without truly having technology in the driver's seat. Put yourself in the driver's seat and you'll be shocked at what you produce with all these incredible cameras that you buy. So with that, I love mirrorless cameras. They're great. But there's a certain level of discipline that is absolutely needed if you really want to master the craft of photography, mastering light. That's needed. Without that, it's not going to happen. So with that, I'll talk to you in the next one. Thank you.